Race into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. We're at the Circuit of Americas, where we go out onto the road course to see what these drivers can do. As always, I'm your host, James East, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second. As we get ready to see how this one's going to wrap up, is it going to be Tom Ogle, the first driver to make it 3 in a row? Or is Josh Robinson going to be back out on top? Let us know in the spectator area as we get ready to send him out on track for today's feature event. Looks like the grid is set. As let's go ahead and run it through here. Josh Robinson starting on pole. Courtney Nelson starting second. Michael Watts starting third. Clint Rice starting fourth. Tom Ogle starting fifth. Jerry Isaac starting sixth. Dan Hill starts 7th. Sean Foltz starting 8th. We've got Shane Wisman starting 9th. Greg McDaniel starting 10th. Roger Hurley starting 11th. Brian Lynch will start 12th. Cycling it back to Greg Hammond starting 13th. Wayne Hufford starting 14th. Andy Thomas starting 15th. Brian McCubbin starting 16th. Lee Warsdale starting 17th. Victor Lane starts 18th. Dustin Martinson starting 19th. TJ Rogers starting 20th. Dale Copeland starts 21st. Daryl Winninger starts 22nd. Lloyd Moore starting 23rd. Tom Amassey starting 24th. Let's cycle it back one final time. We've got Chris Bates starting 25th. William Martin starting 26th. James Waldo starts 27th. Jim Smith starting 28th. Michael Titanium Everhart starting 29th. Gavin Adams starting 30th. Alan Wanamaker starting 31st. And Jonathan Green will round out the 32-car grid here today. Looks like the fans starting to show up already. We've got Pac-Man here, Jeremy Mayo joining in, supporting the broadcast. And we've got 30 laps on the board for these drivers. "30 laps on the board. In qualifying, we saw lap times by about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Looks like Brian McCubbin's going to start from pit road. Everybody else looks like James Waldo also going to start from pit road. And we're going to roll out for an pacing lap here at Circuit of the Americas. And already seeing some drivers scatter out of the way. I wonder if that's maybe drivers that are going to be serving an EOL. That's going to be Josh Robinson, Courtney Nelson on that front row. Rice and Watts, your second row. Ogle and Isaacs will make up the third row here. Now, normally in the past, we've had a pretty strict incident limit for these Cup Series drivers. Today, no incident limit since the off-tracks are so aggressive here at Circuit of the Americas. So it looks like they're going to dial that back just a little bit. Safety car is down pit road, and let's get ready to send him out for the green flag racing. 30 laps here on the board, and there are no expected cautions here tonight at the road course. And let's see, I already saw some drivers swerving back there toward the rear. Josh Robinson leads the field. A big lockup there out of that front left. And it is going to be a little bit of a parking lot into turn one. Drivers trying to scatter around and see if they can get that thing sorted. The road course very tough, as that's Wayne Huff for the number 75. Making some moves here, already up 2 positions. So already the field's starting to maybe single file a little bit here as Tom Vogel and Clint Rice have a battle for 4th. And as we're getting things started off tonight, today's race dedicated to our friend Eddie Jones, going through a recovery right now as Clint Rice finds himself looking the wrong direction, the number 6. But just want to give a shout out to our good friend Eddie Cajun Jones. Hope you're feeling better soon, my friend. And we can get you back out on track and given those words of wisdom that we've come to expect week in and week out. Now I saw another crash report as well for Tom Amass, the 62. Looks like he's able to get it fired up in the right direction. But this is definitely going to be a night of attrition here tonight, I think. We've seen in practice and qualifying a whole lot of solo incidents from these drivers. Dale Cope with the number 55 machine and making some moves. You know who else is making moves? Gavin Adams, the number 30 machine. He's 16th out on circuit, but has already gained 14 positions here tonight. Now we're expecting the fuel window to close around lap 22 for these drivers. It's going to be interesting to see how the tire wear maybe plays a factor, if it does. If tire wear is a factor here tonight, we'll see drivers coming in right around the halfway mark, I think. A little bit of an incident there was Greg McDaniel, and I think James Waldo had some sort of issue. Here's Dale Copeland battling with Gavin Adams up in turn one. A very tough, really, I was going to say a tough corner, but this whole track is tough for NASCAR Cup Series drivers. Especially in iRacing, you don't have quite the runoff limits that you would get compared to the real-life counterparts. And, you know, the real-world NASCAR racing, they extend those off-track limits. Drivers have a lot more leeway to get around the circuit quickly. Here in iRacing, the limits are what you have, and they are very, very strict, and that's part of the reason why we have that more forgiving incident limit here tonight. Gavin Adams, that number 30 machine, still up 14 spots in the 16th place position. He made a spot around Victor Lane, and it looks like Lane's going to lose a spot there to Worsdale and Winninger. Well, something has happened to Lane. Maybe had a bit of a slowdown as he hops out of the way for Lloyd Moore. And here's some great side-by-side racing. Greg McDaniel, Roger Hurley battling for that 12th place spot. Another incident reported, this time Dustin Martinson, the number 19 machine, has issues. Martinson down 7 spots from where he started in that Ford Mustang. Now up front, it's still Robinson, Nelson, Watts, your top 3. Ogle and Isaacs round out the top 5. And Robinson just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, a 2:14.9. Now, for those that remember last week at Bristol, we asked Ogle, who was the second driver this season to make it 2 in a row, will he maybe be the first driver to make it 3 in a row here this season? And for those that tune in every week, you'll remember Ogle saying, and I quote, absolutely not. So Ogle did not have high expectations coming into tonight at Circuit of the Americas, but still running a strong fourth. He was very quick, very clean in that number 11 machine through practice and qualifying. We've got Ashton Cosner joining us here in the spectator area asking, hey, what did we miss in 3 laps so far? And for the most part, it's been fairly clean racing, very single file. We've had a few off-track excursions, a couple of self-spins, but for the most part, everybody running very smooth, very clean here. Going back up, we talked about Ogle earlier, but now he's got pressure from Jerry Isaacs, the number 51. Isaacs on the inside line. Ogle running a more traditional White Claw livery on that 11 after the St. Patrick's Day special last week. If we go a little bit further back, Roger Hurley, Dale Copeland side by side, the battle for 12th. Copeland, if he can hold on to this 12th place spot, that's going to be his 9th position gained here. It's going to be interesting to see what Copeland can continue to do here. That number 55 machine still charging forward. Oh, and it looked like Copeland very narrowly avoid going off track. He's going to lose a little bit of time to Hurley. Taking a peek here, Robinson again, the fastest lap of the race, a 2:14.17. So I'm very interested to see how things keep developing. Robinson very clean out front. We have another crash reported. Jonathan Green finds himself in a precarious spot. It also showed Lee Warsdale have an incident at the same time. I don't think those two are related. Back that camera angle up a little bit and see what happened to Green. Looks like it's going to be a solo incident there. Just loses the back end, snaps it around. And then opts to kind of back out of the raceway there. Thankfully, nobody else involved in that. And that's kind of the story we've seen so far here tonight, Circuit of the America. A lot of solo incidents. Now, Robinson, your race leader, came into tonight as the points leader, holding a 23-point margin over Ogle, a 41-point margin over Dan Hill, who sits third in the championship right now. Right now out on track, Dan Hill running 6th in that number 7 Chevrolet. And it seems to me that it's going to be about 4th place back. We see most of the action. You've got Isaacs, Ogle, and Hill on a tidy little pack here. Ogle staying glued to the back of that number 51 machine, piloted by Isaacs. Just behind them, you can see Hill and Witzman, 6th and 7th out on the course. Looked like something had happened to Roger Hurley. Showed involved in an incident, but I'm not seeing any tire smoke here, so I'm wondering just another incident. It looked like that was going to be through the turn 1 mark. And speaking of turns, look at the track map pulled up in the bottom right-hand corner. See where your favorite driver is. That's going to be the car number displayed on that track map. We check in on Andy Thomas, piloting the Irwin back number 12 Toyota. You can also see Wayne Huff in the 75 machine, not too far out of frame here. And there comes just briefly Gavin Adams and Clint Rice. Rice is going to have an uphill battle here at Circuit of the Americas to try and get back into a little bit better points paying position. We got Fletcher here cheering on the number 74 machine. That's going to be Alan Wanamaker piloting that number 74 Toyota Camry. Wanamaker, right now he's up 8 spots, qualified 31st, has made his way up into 23rd. So making some strides here. And let's watch this battle unfold. There's Gavin Adams. Then up the inside line, looks like, oh, I just saw a mistake there from Adams. And right behind them, Andy Thomas briefly made a move over on Clint Rice. Rice is going to fire back in the number 6. 25 laps left to go here. Like another battle shaping up. Winninger trying to fire back against Dale Copeland as they charge up the hill here in Texas. Copeland on the outside line, number 55 machine. Winninger, the number 15, trying to fire in the inside line through turn 1. But that's going to set Copeland up for the next right-hander, able to run a little bit more defensive line here. So good to see that there's great racing all across the circuit here tonight under the Texas sun. We've seen great battles for 4th, for 15th, for 21st. So everybody coming to put on a show, and got to give a thumbs up to the admins as well, adjusting the incident point limit here for the road course. Again, specifically for Circuit of the Americas, and kind of encouraging drivers to come out and put on a show. In the past, we've seen drivers go, you know what, this is going to be too many penalty points. It's safer for me to leave the car parked at home. But now with the most recent changes, gives these guys a reason to come out and actually race. Copeland's going to keep Winninger at bay for a little while longer while that's going on. Rice on the back bumper of Wayne Hubbard's 75 machine. Rice pulls out of the draft. A little bit of a lockup there for the number 6. But looks like as he gets that car settled, is going to take back over the 15th place spot. Now Rice, we know he has the pace. He's still down 11 spots where he qualified. That was that 4th place position he fired off tonight with. But it's going to be a large uphill battle for that number 6 machine if he wants a shot at a top 10, if not a top 5. Darrell Winninger getting back around Dale Copeland. Winninger, that's going to be his 10th spot gained here. Like Copeland lost the back end of the tires. Now, we know the fuel run is about 22 laps at the high end for these drivers. The big question is, what about the tire management? Let's check back in. Race leader Josh Robinson. His fastest lap of the race was a 2:13.75. Last time by a 2.14, excuse me, a 2-minute 14.34. So already starting to bleed off the pace ever so slightly. Now this is a 3.4 mile circuit here that these drivers are running, so a long time. That's as reflected by the over 2-minute lap times. And I would dare say a lot more technical than someplace such as Road America we might have seen these drivers run in the past. Now I just saw an off-track report and a crash report from Michael Watts, the number 84 machine. Very uncharacteristic here for Watts. So not a full-fledged crash. Looks like the broadcast software just picked up the big lockup there of the number 84 machine. Historically, Watts has been one of our most dominant road racers here at the Old Bastards Racing League. And a little bit further back, it looks like TJ Rogers was making a move on Chris Bates, but is going to lose a spot here to Alan Wanamaker. And that's what we talked about. I think tonight's going to be all about attrition for these guys. It's been a lot of solo incidents. Thankfully, we haven't really seen too much car-to-car contact. And here comes Clint Rice trying to scrape another spot away. Ooh, looked like a bit of a weird camera angle. There we go. As Rice follows through with Copeland through the S's. Rice trying to find an opening against that number 55 machine. Works the inside line. Is he going to get clear here? Yes, he is. Rice moves back up into 13th. He's got 3 more spots before he can see that number 6 machine back up into the top 10. Now, question for the fans here tonight. Are we going to see any alternative pit stop strategies as we watch Rogers and McCubbin side by side for 24th? Now we know the fuel window closes on lap 22. Is anybody else going to maybe switch it up a little bit and try and get some fresh tires underneath them? I wouldn't be surprised to see a large portion of the field come down pit road around that lap 15 mark or so. Hero Wininger trying an outside line against Greg McDaniel. Makes it clean, and I think that's also one of the benefits to the clean racing we're seeing here tonight. A lot of drivers are racing more so the track here tonight, even more so than they do on the oval courses, definitely more than they are racing other drivers. So I think guys are seeing other drivers come up behind them real quick in the rear view. And then hop it out of the way. So I think that's why we're seeing so many very polite passes. Looks like the battle for the top 5 still underway. Ogle is going to go for a big send up the inside of Isaacs. A tiny bit of a lockup there for the number 11 machine. But Ogle has fought his way back into the 4th place position. Now, Jeremy Mayo is saying guys are going to run standard. So are you thinking, this is a question to all the fans as well, do you think guys are going to run it until the tank's empty? Or opt for fresher tires right at the halfway mark? Now, after Ogle made that pass, it looks like that is also allowing Dan Hill and I think Shane Wisman to close the gap up a little bit as they charge down the hill out of turn 1. So some fans thinking that Courtney Nelson going to go for a bit of an undercut against Robinson, but it really depends on how lap traffic is going to play a goal here tonight. Now it looks like, let me check in on Robinson, as it looks like we still have 28 drivers on the lead lap. And if you can see the track map in the bottom right hand corner, that's Robinson charging around the track. Actually, let's go ahead and do one better. Let's get the positions pulled up on that track map. A little bit easier to follow along with. I need to get one of those NFL style doodles so we can draw in the broadcast midway through the show. Robinson has a lot of lap traffic ahead of him. He comes into the final 2 corners of the raceway. I'll say about 3 corners. So the number 1, the first place Josh Robinson. And that gray number 23 machine on the scoreboard. Trying to work his way through traffic. The next target he's going to have to put down a lap's Jonathan Green, the number 98 machine. And I wonder if Robinson will catch him on the start-finish line. That number 23 is on rails here tonight. And if we pan back to Dan Hill, he's still staying within about a second. Look at this. I'm going to interrupt myself. Tom Ogle is going to be the first driver down pit road 10 laps into this feature event. So an interesting call, a bit of an undercut for Ogle in that number 11 machine. Now Hill staying within about 9/10 of Jerry Isaacs. He's also got Shane Wisman not too far behind in the 34. As drivers are hopping out of the way to allow lead lap drivers by nice and easy. Dan Trashcan Hill, the MXPX back number 7, doing his best to catch up to the number 51 machine of Jerry Isaacs. I'm interested to see, does anybody else start coming down pit road? Now, we had another incident reported. It was James Waldo, the number 89 machine. So let's see what happened to Waldo here. Another crash report. Jonathan Green was off track for a long time. And that 98 machine, excuse me. I swear Green used to be the 89. Maybe I'm losing my mind. That's Waldo, the 89. Really not much of a crash there through turn 1. Just a heavy lockup. Now, Mayo making a good point in the spectator area. Ogle out on track. Let's pan over to Ogle. Out on track with clean track all the way around him. And that's the same thing they tell us at real world racing track days, practice days. If there's too much traffic ahead of you, go ahead and come down pit road and then come out on track, and that way you can just focus on hitting your laps and rocking and rolling there. Dan Hill is going to be the second driver down pit road for the green flag stop. The drivers at this point forward, if they take a pit stop, they're going to be good to go on fuel till the end of the race here. So Hill is going to return back out on track. Looked like something was reported for Dan Hill. Excuse me, Victor Lane. I don't showed a crash report. Historically, we haven't seen a lot of crashes reported in turn 1. I don't think it's going to be the case here for Lane. No, it is going to be. So, bit of a miss of the brake marker. Slows way down, triggers our broadcast software. And Victor continues running in 27th. Now, we've seen 2 of the Team Miata drivers pit. That was Tom Ogle and Dan Hill. A lot of traffic ahead for Robinson. Looks like I think that's going to be Titanium Everhart, and Robinson's going to take that opportunity to come down pit road, following suit with his Team Miata teammates. Let's see, does Courtney Nelson? Nelson's going to opt to stay out here in the number 48. Nelson ran second in qualifying, so might get credit with a lap led here at Circuit of the America. So what's the play going to be? Michael Watts also down pit road. So what's the play going to be for Courtney Nelson, the 48? He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. But if he thinks he has pace, this might be a good opportunity to hammer down, try and build something up against Robinson. Last time by, Nelson a 2:15.29. So a little bit less than 2 seconds off his fastest lap of the race. Shane Wisman also down pit road. Robinson back out on circuit. He's going to be about 21, it's got about 22 seconds back from Nelson here. I don't think Nelson has time to play it safe. Everhart letting the race leader by as quickly as he can. Interesting to see what lap time Nelson can click off here. Good question. So the fans are asking, why is Robinson so close? It looks like every driver so far has opted for only fuel, maybe 2 tires. Robinson, Watts, Ogle, Isaacs, and Hill all around an 8-second pit stop. Shane Wisman, an 11.8 second pit stop, which is still not indicative of a 4-tire stop. So I wonder if drivers aren't battling with tire wear as much as I would have thought. From what I'm seeing, I would have thought tire wear is going to be a pretty big factor. Courtney Nelson, a 218 flat last time by. Granted, part of that was lap traffic, but to me, from an outsider looking in, and I'm definitely not a driver, especially at the level these guys are at, it looks to me like it would be worth taking 4 tires instead of being 2, 3, and in some case of Nelson last time by 4 seconds off his fastest lap of the race. So I'm going to be really interested to see, does Nelson, the 48 machine, take 4 tires? Is anybody else going to take 4 tires? And see if they can try and hammer out some faster lap times. Nelson working his way through traffic once more. That was Brian McCubbin's 52 machine. We go back to Shane Wisman's 34. He's got Daryl Winninger, Brian Lynch right behind him. Lynch in that hot seat, running 10th overall. Wants to stay inside the top 10 here. Tom Ogle has also made a move against Sean Foltz. And Dan Hill, oh, with a big lock up there from the number 7 machine. He had got clear of Jerry Isaacs. Isaacs going to fire back there in the 51. And continually great racing all across the track here tonight. Now next week we go back to a little bit more traditional racing at Richmond Raceway. And then on April 7th we go to Martinsville back to short track racing. So super excited to see how that one's going to pan out. And very impressed with these drivers. Isaacs and Hill have not had much of an opportunity to break away from each other. Isaacs came down pit road on lap 12. Dan Hill taking back over the spot. His pit stop was on lap 11. And so far, I've yet to see any driver who took 4 tires on a stop just quite yet. Now, we still have 31 drivers out on track. Lee Warsdale, the only driver who unfortunately retired in the number 99 machine. Sean Foltz down pit road. We got Mr. Fish join us in the booth. There's Clint Rice keeping the pressure up. That's going to be Brian Lynch. He's trying to get around. And you can see Rice really wheeling it there as he pulls up alongside Brian Lynch. Is going to take over that 9th place spot. So that's going to put Rice back inside the top 10. Just about to the halfway mark of today's main event. As it stands, it's Courtney Nelson out front, but he's the only driver inside the top 7 who has yet to pit here. We got Mr. Graham here joining us in the spectator area. A lot of great fans join us here tonight here at Circuit of the Americas. So Mayo thinking Robinson with that clean track position, the number 23 machine, is what's going to pay dividends here tonight at Texas. Not having to manage nearly the amount of traffic as Courtney Nelson. Now, I still wouldn't count Nelson out of this. I'm going to be extremely interested to see if Nelson opts to give up 5 or 6 seconds on pit road in favor of taking 4 fresh tires underneath them. Robinson clicks off a 2:14.7. Nelson, your race leader last time by, a 2-minute 16 flat. Traffic, though, always the great equalizer. Road courses as well as ovals. We saw it last week at Bristol. Clint Rice was the odds-on favorite to pick up a win here. Got tied up with traffic. So Nelson still holding on, about 15.5 seconds up over Robinson. Robinson has 27.3 over Michael Watts. Historically, Watts was always the guy to beat here at the Old Bastards Racing League every time we threw on a race that involved a couple right-handers in the mix. So the talent has definitely risen here at OBRL for the road course shenanigans, and I've got to say, one of the biggest road course grids I think we've seen in a while. We had 32 entries, and still we've got 30 drivers out on track here, so these guys putting on a great show and getting in the seat time, which I'm super impressed to see. Now we wait for Nelson to cross the line. He's going to dive down pit road, the 48. So Nelson down pit road for his one and only scheduled stop. Let's see, where is this going to put Nelson? He's in his pit stall. The right side goes up. Are we going to see the left side as well? Taking 4 fresh tires. He'd be the only driver we've seen so far. Yes, Nelson's going to go to 4, but Robinson's going to take over the race lead, and he's going to have a healthy margin. We wait for Nelson to get back out on track. He's going to be about 15 seconds back from Robinson. Now here's the question. Is that gamble for 4 fresh tires going to pay off? Robinson's last time by, a 2:15.11. Fastest laps of the race were in that 2:3, 2:13 second margin. So a multifaceted question here tonight. Oh my goodness, Robinson shows 26 seconds up over Nelson. So he's going to need more than a second a lap here. What happened to Nelson after he got on pit road? It showed an incident, but is that just the stereotypical turn 1 lighten up our broadcast software? Was there something to actually see there for the 48? Oh my goodness, Nelson might have just snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, as he took a long time to fire up that 48 machine. That may have just given it here to Josh Robinson. Michael Watts looking hungry for a second. And now Watts within 1 second of Nelson. Robinson's going to check out. He's got just about a 26-second gap over the rest of the field. I'm interested to see if now it's going to be a shootout here for second as Nelson and Watts battle for that position. Ogle still hunting for a podium there, the number 11. Well, unfortunately, Nelson is going to be denied the chance of a top spot here unless something just absolutely crazy happens with Robinson. Daryl Winninger on camera, the number 15 machine, trying to track down Shane Wisman. That's going to be the battle for 7th you see out on track. Also looks like Dale Copeland still motoring forward here in that Chick-fil-A back 55. Wayne Hufford trying to hold in the 14th position. So with that change in incident points limit, it both encouraged drivers to come out to maybe get back out into the road course experience. And I think that has led to a lot of drivers putting on a great show and trying to get their personal best. And the more drivers you have out on track, again, we had 32 entries here tonight. More drivers out on track, the more people you have to race with. It's a lot of fun. Now, we had another incident reported that it resulted in a tow. It's going to be William Martin, the number 94 machine. See what happened here to Martin. It showed a crash and off track and then a tow. So I think Martin just said, you know what? I'm not having fun anymore. Hit the magical Alt-4 keybind and put it back in their virtual hauler here at Circuit of America. 12 laps left to go, past the halfway mark. Greg Hammond trying to fend off Sean Foltz. That's going to be that for the final top 10 position. Looks like another driver's going to pack it up early. It's going to be TJ Rogers, involved in an incident, then a tow back to the virtual hauler. Rogers, the number 72 machine Ford Mustang. Pushes wide through turn 1. And says, all right, everybody, I've had enough. Here comes Foltz up the inside line of Hammond, taking over the top 10 position. Foltz going to get through nice and clean there. Not going to repeat what Mayo said, but that's another great saying I need to add to my repertoire here up in the broadcast booth. We check in, race leader Josh Robinson. Lost the last 2 rounds to his teammate Ogle, looking for some redemption. The number 23 machine was the first driver this season to make it back-to-back wins here at the OBRL, the YesterYear Racing Cup Series. And look at the traffic up ahead. That's Gavin Adams and Roger Hurley, 17th and 18th. I think they see that number 23 machine looming from behind. And now the gentleman's rule here is hop out of the way. Something. Are we working now? Alright, there we go. We've got some sort of hardware difficulties up here in the booth. I've been announcing my heart out for the last 2 minutes, and nobody's ever going to be able to enjoy that high quality audio we just laid out. We got XJ Simulations here in the booth. Yeah, after we did a little bit of Georgia waterboarding on the broadcast headset up here. I think we're looking pretty good to go here today, but this might be time to retire the studio mic and pick up another. So as I was saying, Robinson wants to keep himself out of the vortex of danger. And thankfully, the rest of the field has been allowing the number 23 machine by nice and easy, helping to facilitate those clean passes. Looks like that might be Lloyd Moore, the number 26 machine, but we're 10 laps left to go here at Circuit of the America. And Robinson leading by a country mile. 22 seconds up over Courtney Nelson. Nelson, one of the only drivers to take 4 fresh tires underneath him, but unfortunately a spin in turn 1 undid all the hard work of the number 48 machine. And right now your top 3, the running order of Robinson, Nelson, Watts, also identical to their qualifying order. Lap times right now, Robinson still one of the fastest cars out on track. Let's call it about a 2-minute, 15-second lap time flat last time by Nelson, a 2:15.27. So not only does Robinson have a 22-second margin, he's also got the raw pace to keep everybody else at bay. Now with that traffic ahead of him, I think it's going to be Lloyd Moore and Dale Copeland, 16th and 15th. That could slow Robinson a little bit here, but with 10 laps left to go, Nelson's going to have to somehow find 2 seconds a lap to get back within striking distance of the number 23. And look at that. Lloyd Moore hops out of the way. I think that was the 94 machine of William Martin, also hopping out of the way, the race leader. So right now, I would dare say this is Robinson's race to lose, still holding a 20-second margin over Nelson. So even though that number 23 doesn't have 4 fresh tires underneath him, he's got, let's take a look here, the track map on the bottom right. He's got clean track ahead of him. The next driver ahead is the number 55 of Dale Copeland. And he is about 8 seconds up over your race leader, ahead of your race leader. So Robinson might still have 1 or 2 more clean laps before he runs into traffic again here at COTA. Now let's pay a little bit further back in the field. Brian Lynch sitting in 9th. Has Sean Foltz 3/4 of a second behind him. Foltz bringing that distance down within about a half second. Greg Hammond coming down pit road for his one and only scheduled green flag stop. Now Foltz running very good in the number 95 machine. Surely he knows Lynch, the number 9, has yet to pit here at COTA. Looks like Daryl Winninger and Brian Lynch, if I'm looking at this correctly, and I am, the only 2 drivers who have yet to pit so far here today. Lynch in the Hooters back number 9 machine. Let's see, can Lynch hold on to it here? But I mean, as much as he wants to try and keep Foltz at bay, surely Lynch isn't going to be able to fuel save 8 full laps of fuel here at Circuit of the Americas. As it looks like Foltz in no hurry to wait. He's ready to hammer down. There we go. Lynch is going to come down pit road. Foltz takes back over the 9th place position. I'm curious to see as we pan and check in on Clint Rice, the number 6. Is that going to put Well, no, I thought Brian Lynch was coming down pit road. Not the case, so that must have been a runoff section I was looking at. I thought Lynch was coming down pit road there. Now, I'm curious to see when Lynch comes down pit road if he's going to be able to hold on to a top 10. Clint Rice has been slowly charging back all night. Darrell Winninger down pit road for his one and only stop. 8 laps left to go here at COTA. Now I'm curious to see, can Clint Rice, the number 6 machine, work his way back into the top 10 after a rough start here tonight. Rice has had some of the worst luck so far here this season. Now thankfully it is very early on the season as well, so Rice gonna keep the hammer down, keep that momentum up. And I would not be surprised to see Rice pick up another win. Now that number 6 picked up the win the season opener at Daytona. Currently running 16th in the points. Bolt's right behind Winninger after Winninger's lap 22 stop. Winninger looks like he only took fuel on that stop. Might have taken 2 tires. As look at the great save from Sean Foltz, the number 95. So glad we caught that live. A huge self-correcting moment. Looked like he was getting ready to pitch that 95 around sideways. Locked up the brakes, got it pointed the right direction, and somehow managed to save the spin. Well done to Foltz there. That might have very well been the save of the day here tonight. We check back in. Josh Robinson, your race leader. Robinson rocking and rolling here, the number 23 machine. Let's see, I'm trying to check the track map. Still looks like clean lap. He has not caught up to Dale Copeland just quite yet. Seven laps left to go here at Circuit of the America. Josh Robinson still 19 seconds up over the rest of the field. Looks like we've got 15 drivers on the lead lap. Now, I'm curious to see how the rest of the road course season is going to go for these drivers. I believe we have a spattering of road courses on the schedule. Looking further forward, on June 9th, we go to Sonoma Raceway for the road course. On September 15th, we go to Watkins Glen International. So if I'm looking at this correctly, I believe this is only one of 3 road course races we'll be running here at the OBRL 2024 yesteryear. No, excuse me. July 7th, we're going to Chicago Street Course. That's going to be very interesting. I have not yet called any races at the Chicago road course. They're going to be interesting to see how that one goes. So it looks like about 4 road courses on the schedule for these drivers. I don't see the Roval on there. Let me make sure I'm not losing my mind. All right, October 13th, we go to the Roval. So a fair amount of right turns thrown into this regular left turn season. And as we check on the field, we've got 2 drivers that have made a bunch of ground. Daryl Winninger, the number 15 machine. He's up 14 positions up into 8th. And also want to give a shout out to Gavin Adams, the number 30 machine, also up 14 positions. That's 2 drivers who have made a ton of ground here tonight. And Robinson, just in a league of his own. I can't remember the last time we've seen that number 23 machine put such a gap on the rest of the field. He's 17 seconds up over Courtney Nelson. Nelson running about a half second a lap faster last time by. Robinson a 2-minute 15.22. Nelson a 2:14.68. So Nelson has great pace with those 4 fresh tires underneath him. But unfortunately, I think that self-spin just undid all the work. We were going to see how that 48 machine, I think he was very much a contender here to try and pick up a win. There's Dale Cope, the number 55 machine, yielding to the 23 machine of Robinson. Robinson really not losing too much time with traffic here. Nelson does have clean track ahead of him, but with 5 laps left to go, getting ready to make it 4. I just don't think Nelson's going to have any time unless Robinson has absolutely dreadful luck with lap traffic. I'm curious with the fans, did anybody here expect for there to be this much of a gap here at Circuit of the Americas? We saw a little bit of smoke through turn 1. I wonder if that was off of Wayne Hufford's 75 machine. Now up ahead of your race leader Robinson, you've got Brian Lynch, Greg McDaniel battling for 11th. A 10th is probably going to be out of the cards for these two as Clint Rice holding on to that top 10 spot. He's about 26 seconds ahead. Seems like so far the fans thinking it was going to be a 2-3 car shootout that had a good chance of taking home glory here in Texas. And speaking of Michael Watts, looks like Tom Ogle was starting to close up from behind. Now the only driver in the top 5 that we know is on 4 fresh tires is Courtney Nelson. But Clint Rice back in 10th. I believe he's also on a 4-tire strategy. Looking forward to the podium interviews as well to ask the drivers why 2 tires might have been the move and the fastest option. Still 29 of our 32 entries out on track. We go on board with Brian Lynch's number 9 machine up into 1. Late on the braking, trying to make something happen against Greg McDaniel. I thought that was going to be quite an exciting moment there. I thought Lynch might have missed the mark. McDaniel's going to hold on to 11th for a little while longer, as Lynch has to build momentum back up in the number 9 machine. Oh, a big moment there. McDaniel sliding the rear tires around that number 1, backed by Cartoon Network. Looks like Lynch wasn't quite able to capitalize. 3 laps left to go here at Texas. And Lynch doing everything he can to try and get around McDaniel. McDaniel not going to make it easy for that number 9 machine. Trying to see who that is behind him. I wonder if that's a lead lap driver trying to get around. A little bit of a lock up there from McDaniel. Lynch is going to try and hammer down the power. But these Cup machines, very tough to get the power down without lighting up the rear tires. It's all about throttle control and keeping these cars planted on the road course. Let's see, we saw a big send from Lynch the lap prior to turn 1. Is he going to try it again here? He's about 4/10 back from McDaniel. Gets good drive out of the final corner, but not going to be set up for a late braking move here. Once again, a little bit of lockup. It looks like that might have been Crisco ahead. But I don't see Crisco out on track. So probably not Crisco. So let's see, who is that just ahead of McDaniel's number 1 machine? Brian Lynch keeping the pressure up in the battle for 11th. Is that Chris Bates, the number 81 machine, I take it? Yes, it was. That Aylesback number 81, that looks almost identical to liveries we've seen Robert Garisco run in the past with a Crisco-backed race car. A little bit of deja vu for the broadcasters and fans alike. We got Foul Ace join us, pointing out that Victor Lane and Dustin Martinson, that they run together, but I don't see Martinson quite linked up with Lane here. And why panned away, a huge lock up there for McDaniel. Lynch was trying the outside line, had to back out of it to avoid getting into the number 91 machine, the number 1 machine, who was all out of shape. McDaniel locks up again. And that is going to allow Lynch by here before they make their way to the start-finish line straight. Couple of left-hand corners to go. And I believe we're going to unfurl the white flag for Mr. Josh Robinson, our race leader. So we unfurl the white flag here at Circuit of the America. Josh Robinson, 13.7 seconds off over the rest of the field, but he is in cruise control for the number 23 machine. Even though Nelson has the fresher tires behind him in the 48, Robinson's got track position and mighty clean track position, I might add. Last time by, Robinson a 216.6, Nelson a 217.47. Josh Robinson making it look clean and easy here at Texas. Just a couple of corners left to go for that number 23 machine. About 0.15 of a lap left. He's got two left-handers ahead of him. And then Robinson's going to get back up into the top spot. Ogle will not make it 3 in a row here, at least so far this season. Put your hands together. It's Robinson, the number 23 machine, is going to extend the points lead here at the road course of Circuit of the America. Looking like it's going to be Courtney Nelson in second. And Michael Watts will round out the top three here tonight. So well done to Robinson, Nelson, and Watts, putting on a great show here tonight. Finishing 1, 2, 3, coincidentally also the running order in which they qualified. Now I just realized for the mandatory post-race photos, that is a very long time to make their way around back to the start-finish line. So we're waiting for these drivers to make their way down. I gotta agree with X-Ray Simulations as well. I think if Nelson did not have that big moment, I think he was definitely a contender here tonight. And there's Robinson making his way on to pit road for the podium. And what a great show from these top 3 drivers here at COTA. Looks like we're going to start getting these guys up here to victory lane. And Josh Robinson's going to burn it down here at Texas. As Robinson smokes it down here at COTA. Still waiting on Michael Watts and Josh Robinson to join us up here in the top 3. And looks like we're going to get everybody up here. As we are going to start things off with Mr. Michael Watts, the number 84 machine. Mike, a great run as always, a clean number 84 at the end of it, and looked like you just kind of out there in no man's land clicking off hot laps for most of this one.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Maybe I didn't get as much practice as those guys in front of me. They ran an amazing race, and just yeah, kind of left me in a world by myself. Really, came down, I think, to me and Tom there at the end, and we were kind of trading mistakes back and forth to see, if he could get to my bumper or not. But yeah, overall, a pretty good day. We haven't been here. I don't know if we've been here in the Cup cars before, so it was really nice to come here and have a nice caution-free race.
Now, Mike, yeah, caution's free being very nice. Nice bit of scenery here, but it seems like in seasons past, it seemed like we haven't had as much of a deep talent field as far as right-turning ringers thrown in the mix. Does it feel like to you that we've maybe had more and more guys get comfortable over the last 2 or 3 years with these road courses?
Oh, for sure. You know, the thing that I like about this league was that it ran the real schedule, and we kind of put all the road courses back on here, and a lot of guys, they kind of shun away from the road courses, maybe because they don't like them, whatever. But it is what it is, it's part of the schedule. So I kind of embraced them. Road racing's in my background, so I enjoy them. Maybe not this one in particular, but yeah, I don't know if stock cars really belong on Coda, but I mean, it was fun. It was fun. And I enjoyed it. Congrats to Josh and Courtney. They did a hell of a job, and they obviously practiced a lot more than I did. They were super fast all day. So
Well, Michael, good to have you back up here in the top 3. It's still a great run here for you tonight. Big points behind in the 84. Before I let you go and sign off and unwind from this grueling road course, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make this podium possible for you tonight?
Oh, I want to thank my family and my teammates I mean, they're here just about every weekend. So it's really nice to have somebody to talk to on the radio, and my family for letting me do this. So yeah, good support. And this is a good group of guys, there's guys that are willing to practice with you and help you. So, um, when you reach out, you always got somebody there to kind of help you. So yeah, league's doing good.
Awesome. Good to see you back up here, Mike. Congratulations, and hope to have you back up here more throughout the season.
Yeah, 10-4. I'd like to be back too.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Have a good day.
That was Mike Watts bringing it home in second. Up next, we've got Mr. Courtney Nelson, the number 48 machine. Courtney, welcome back to the top three. A clean run, punctuated by a brief mistake, but man, were you fast out there tonight.
Yeah, I decided to take tires to see if I could give Josh a run and gave it too much on cold tires, and around it went.
Now, so Nelson, with that turn one incident notwithstanding, do you think that the 4 fresh tires could have been the move here to maybe challenge that number 23? I was saying all throughout the broadcast, it seemed like the tire management or the tire fall off was worth the extra time in pit road tonight.
I think so, because when I looked at it when I came out of pit, I was only 10 or so seconds behind Josh. After I spun out, I was 23, 24, but when I right towards the last, I was only 12. So I think it would have been close.
Now, Courtney, I know COTA is a very difficult track, with the limitations iRacing has put forth compared to our real-world racing. How tough was it tonight to manage those off-tracks and incident points over the duration of 30 laps?
It was hard because you turn in just a sliver too early and you get an incident point. I think I got one on lap 2 and I wasn't even pushing it.
Well, we've got COTA out of the way. What road races, or really any of the tracks coming up, are you excited about for the rest of the season?
I like the short tracks. Richmond and Martinsville coming up are going to be pretty good. I'm a huge fan of road courses, so I'm looking forward to all the road courses we're going to have the rest of this season.
Well, looking forward to seeing that number 48 machine back on the top rung for the first time this season, at least. Courtney, a great job tonight. Came into tonight 7th in points, scoring some massive points, finishing 2nd. Before I let you go and unwind from this one, who do you want to give a shout-out to that helps put you up inside the top 3?
Appreciate you guys for broadcasting it, all the admins for the OBRL. Everything else is really, and all the competitors, they're top-notch, so it's real fun to race around.
Awesome. Courtney, always a pleasure talking to you, bud. Congratulations on 2nd, and looking forward to having you back up here more throughout the season.
All right, you guys have a good night. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. You too. That was Courtney Nelson bringing it home in 2nd. Up next, the man of the hour, Josh Robinson. Welcome back to the top spot, dethroning Ogle's 2-win streak, putting that number 11 machine back behind you and getting some momentum built up once more for you.
Hey James, how you doing tonight? Nobody wanted to see Ogle three-peat.
Nobody, not even Ogle, I don't think, wanted to see that. But good to see you back in the top spot. Robinson, historically, you weren't a road race ringer. You were always out here to prevent points bleed, but man, how cool is it to see you back on the top spot with a course with the right turns?
It feels pretty good. I am definitely not a ringer. This was the stars aligned. For some reason, I like COTA, and I think a lot of people don't like COTA, and so I put in some extra practice because of that, and it paid off. But this is a little bit of luck on my side. This is probably a one-hit wonder at a road course for me.
Well, we still have Watkins Glen. We have the Charlotte Roval coming up and a couple of others. I mean, are you going to try and make it multiple road race wins this season, or are you pretty confident COTA is going to be it for that 23 machine?
Kind of leaning towards, I'm going to be at those races, but I think you're going to see a Courtney and a Mike Watts show up and dominate at those like they always do.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned those two, Nelson, Watts, Ogle, Hill, everybody inside the top 5. We were talking earlier in the broadcast, but it seems like the talent field for road course is a lot deeper than we've seen the last 2 years. Is that admin changes encouraging drivers to actually put the work in? Is that guys just doing it by themselves? Why do you think we have so many more fast guys out on the right-handers now?
You're absolutely correct. We've got a much deeper field. I mean, we had 30-some cars here tonight at a road course. that is almost unheard of. And we last night we had a practice. We just kind of strolled into a practice. Old Goal showed up, a Dan Hill, a Dale, Greg Hammond, Mark Fish. All those guys did a nice job and were improving their lap times. And we were all bouncing ideas off of each other. And there is no replacement for seat time when it comes to road courses.
Now, exactly. Perfect practice makes perfect. Now, Josh, it seemed like you timed that pit stop tonight to account for lap traffic, and it seemed like everybody was super respectful out there on track tonight. So are you pretty happy with when you opted to come down pit road for this main event?
Considering the outcome, yes, I am. I told myself that I needed to pit sometime between lap 9 and lap 22, and I was just gonna pit whenever I seen a gaggle of cars in front of me. That everybody did a phenomenal job of giving way and just giving plenty of room, but you can't, you can't just disappear. And so, if it's really hard to let someone go here because you can only see, it's not like real life where you can fully turn your head, you can only see so much, but everybody did a tremendous job. And yeah, that was my game plan. Just pit when I thought I was going to catch a gaggle of cars, and that turned out pretty darn well.
Well, good to have you back up here in the top spot, the third time so far this season. I'm sure of many more to come. Before I let you go, celebrate with the rest of the Team Yada hooligans. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make this win possible for you here tonight?
I want to thank everybody that came out for practice. That was great to bounce ideas off of each other. I want to thank everybody that showed up to the race. 30 plus cars at a road course is amazing. Thank YesterYear Racing, the title sponsor of the OBRL Cup Series. Thank Team Goon Squad for always putting on a tremendous broadcast. And if anybody has any computer parts and they're over near a micro center or willing to get something shipped from a micro center, stop on in and get some good computer deals.
Awesome, Josh. Always a pleasure, bud. Good to have you back up here in the top spot. And congratulations on a massive win tonight, the first road course of the season.
Appreciate it, James. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. That was Josh Robinson picking up the win here at Circuit of the Americas. He was accompanied by Mr. Courtney Nelson and Michael Watts, rounding out the top three. On behalf of the YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the OBRL, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday night with us, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.